mine. I honestly tell her I'm a fan. I'm a fan of hers. She's one of a kind. She's amazing in wh- whatever she does. I call her honorable. I will not waste time. I want her to introduce herself. So, without further ado, please help me welcome Miss Maame De-Heer to our platform. Maame, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
thank you, thank
much.
you.
I'm not sure if you guys can see me. My camera wants to act up, but um, let me just do a little bit of a switch here. And I promise, if it doesn't work, we'll have to use a different means.
That's okay.
I pray it works.
Yeah, technology always wants to play. So no worries, we'll play with it.
Very good.
There
Uh-huh.
it is.
Am I
Yeah.
freezing?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
can see you.
Am
It's
I
frozen.
freezing?
It's frozen.
Oh, it is
Mhm,
frozen.
mhm.
There
Ah,
we are.
there you go. Okay. Hi, everybody. Where do I start from? Okay, thanks. First of all, I just want to thank you all so much for this incredible opportunity of having me. I don't know why my camera wants to act up today, but okay, it's okay. Let's sorry. We'll go this way. Okay. Thank you all so much, so much for the opportunity to be here. I am definitely amongst my brothers and my sisters. It's always a pleasure to be invited or to collaborate with GCAO on such an incredible opportunity. I am so humbled. As Naomi mentioned, Naomi is a very good friend of mine. And we really highly honor and respect each other in every way, shape, and form. So thank you so much, Naomi. And I see some familiar names. I see Ama. Ama, good to see you here. I see Mike Truth, good to see you, and every other person. God bless you for being here. So, just to introduce myself, as mentioned, my name is Maame De-Heer. I am a visionary mobilizer, and I'll explain why. I strongly believe that my purpose in life is to empower, mobilize, and uplift people through healing. Um, through healing, through public health, as well as transformative leadership that will help them to make an impact in their life. And in addition to my purpose, my message is simple. My message, I strongly believe that every human being, in addition to your purpose, you have to have a message attached to it. And my message is very simple, which is don't give up, right? Um, Irrespective of the present sufferings you're going through, there is always a glorious moment in the end. And that has been my message that I have sent and I preach about at all times. So I'm going to share a little bit. I'm sorry, I am normally a big presentation girl, but I have been so busy. So forgive me that today I wasn't able to create a presentation, but I think that authenticity really comes from the heart. And being able to really talk to you guys from the bottom of my heart will be um, more better than even doing a presentation. So just to give a background about me, I was born and raised in Ghana, specifically in Tema, Ghana. I went to my school in Ghana, did everything in Ghana before I migrated to Canada in my final year. Now, as I speak, it might seem very casual, but as I speak, I'm going to be dropping gems of my topic today, which is bouncing back from failure. I, as we all know, failure is inevitable. You cannot stop, you cannot change it. It's part of life. But what matters most is how you rise after you fail. Truthfully, that's what matters most. And I think that in my course of life, I always say that for me, I'm God's biggest scapegoat. Nobody can tell me otherwise. because some of the things I've gone through in life, I just ask God that, God, what are you really trying to tell me in this season? Because it always seems as if He puts me through things so that I can, motivate other people and use my story as a voice. So it might not be as structured, but it will be what I'm going to share with you will be in the form of a storytelling. So when I migrated to Canada in my final year, I it was the hardest point in my life, truthfully. I was severely bullied, and that was my first encounter of hardship because I came to Canada and I had short hair. So if you guys know anything about Ghana, in most of the primary schools and secondary schools, you're mandated to cut your hair because there's this mindset that when you actually have long hair or you have hair, it distracts you from your studies or you would not have time to study. So a lot of the women and girls in Ghana, especially who were schooling in primary and secondary school, had short hair. So when I came to Canada, look at me, little Maame, coming here thinking that I was going to live my best life, get new friends, but no. I had very short hair and I had a strong Ghanaian accent, very, very strong. And guess what? All a lot, I was severely bullied. But do you know the part that hurts me the most? I was not bullied by white people. I was bullied by Black people. I was actually, I still remember my bullies till today. I was actually bullied by Ghanaians, believe it or not. Yes, Naomi, I was bullied by Ghanaians. They'll see me and they'll tell me, oh, go back to Ghana. Go back, here's anything I do, the first thing they'll tell me, here's not Ghana, go back to your country. So it was very, very, very hard for me. Anytime I'll go to school, I'll be in tears, real tears. And if you are a parent here or you aspire to be a parent, please, please, please again, pay close attention to the emotions of your children when they come home. Even if some of them try to camouflage it, try to pretend, be intentional about asking them how school went or how their day went. Because for me, it was very difficult. I just wanted to be accepted. And that's when my issues with self esteem came to play. I really wanted to be accepted in a new country. But here I was being rejected, being pushed away. And it was very hard, like I mentioned. So I remember one day I went home and I told my family that I do not want to go to school again. I am done. I am never going to go to school again. I do not want to have anything to do with school. It's over for me. And I remember them just encouraging me and telling me that everything is going to be fine. I'm going to go through it. It's okay. But they had no idea of the pain that I was enduring in class amongst colleagues and so on. And as I mentioned something about self esteem, I noticed that, and maybe I'm going to expose myself today, but I've never said this anywhere. I used to steal my uncle's money and go give it to people in school just to buy friendship. So my uncle had this money box. And I remember I will go and steal literally the money from the box just so that when I go to school, I can give it to people and be friends with them. But all that did not work. Either way, I had to deal with it, having an accent, being a newcomer, and it was very challenging. Nonetheless, I did not let that stop me. I still focused, I still did what I had to do. But I have said to myself that anywhere I would stand, I will never forget this one girl who made my elementary school experience in Canada worthwhile. Her name is Stephanie Simone. She's a white girl. And I remember when I came to Canada, my teacher, Mrs. Interbartolo, never forget, asked me to sit beside Stephanie. I asked myself, okay, why would she not let me sit beside the Black people? Because those are the people I would gel with more. But then as I got to know Stephanie, I realized that Stephanie was very kind. She was very warm. Stephanie was the only person that did not bully me or make fun of me. Stephanie taught me how to mention certain words in the Canadian accent just so that I will not be felt left out. Stephanie, yes, your namesake, Stephanie. So Stephanies are good people that are dear to my heart. Stephanie will literally let me go or be amongst her friend group. And Stephanie was so, honestly, for lack of a better word, Stephanie was amazing. So, I mean, I go into high school And I got into one of the very good high schools here in Toronto, which is Michael Powers St. Joseph's High School in Etobicoke. And I was still struggling with self-esteem issues. Still wanted to buy friendships, still wanting people to be my friend. And I think it all came together. The last straw for me, I was in the International Baccalaureate program, which is the IB program. And it's for, the smart, intelligent kids. But then I found myself hanging around some bad crowds. As a Christian, the Bible tells us that evil communication corrupts good manners. I was a very good student, A+ student, but I was hanging around the wrong crowd, all because of self-esteem issues. I just wanted friends in a foreign land. And I hope that any newcomer who is here, I empathize with you because it's obviously not easy to find friendships in these spaces. So after my first 2, 3 years of the IB program, I couldn't do it anymore because I felt like I couldn't connect with the people. And I just wanted to be a normal child like everyone else. In my third year of high school, I found myself hanging around very, very bad crowd of people. And it was very disappointing because I was a very good student. But yet again, I just wanted to be accepted. So lo and behold, one day, I was about to write, I think this was my fourth year of high school. I was about to write a math test, a data management class. And I was sitting with my friend, and I remember I was very hungry. You see, that's why our parents, Ghanaian parents, have been telling us that never take food from anybody else. But I forgot those morals. It all left the roof. So either way, I asked my friend, I said, hey, can you give me some of your brownies? Like, I'm so hungry. And he looked at me and he said, are you sure? I said, yes, I want them because I'm hungry. I'm going to write a math test. He was like, you're sure? I said, yes. So I took the brownies and I said, I want more because I was hungry. Well, I hope, oh yes, the brownies. I think some of you are getting an idea of where this is going. So I go to my math class and I was so ready because I had studied so hard for that math test. I sat down. In the first half an hour, I was writing, and all of a sudden I froze. Lord is my witness. I thought that somebody from my background was doing juju in the village that was affecting me. I won't lie to you because I froze instantly. And for the next hour of the test, I could not write. All I did was sit down and I stared at the clock for the next hour. If fearful, no, thank you. So I remember once the test was done, I was like, wait, I couldn't write this test. So I took the paper and took it to my teacher and I said, Miss, can I get another chance to write this test because I don't know what happened. I froze. It was like, no, I'm sorry, Mommy, you already wrote the test. We can't do anything about it. And I was like, I don't know what happened to me. I was just sitting there and I froze. And then she looked at me and she said, why are your eyes red? And I said, exactly. I don't know what's wrong. I froze. And she said, what happened to you? What did you eat? And I said, so and so. And mind you, this individual that gave me the brownies, well, weed brownies, as we all know it, is right now a popular influencer from Toronto.
They're called edibles.
Edibles, thank you. He's a very popular influencer in Toronto. Anytime I see him, I just shake my head. Either way, I went to the principal's office and they looked at me and they said, Maame, you out of all people ate edibles? I was like, no, it's not me. So and so was the one that gave me the edibles. But that was my awakening for me to know the kind of people I have to surround myself with. Truthfully, I discovered that early in high school. There are people that are 50 plus and they have still not figured it out that evil communication corrupts good manners. They've still not figured it out about the type of friends you should surround yourself with. So, and all this is stemming from lack of self-esteem, right? Wanted to be accepted and hanging around the wrong crowd. Either way, for my final year, I made the decision not to hang out with bad people. And that was when I turned over a new leaf. Then I got into university. I think my experience at university was not that bad. No, it was. What am I talking about? Yes, it was. I think in university, I still struggled a lot. wanting to be accepted. And if you are here, you're a young lady and you've not had your first boyfriend or whatever, please relax. Because for me, instead of me making up my mind that I'm going to university to go and focus, my goal was that I'm going to get my first boyfriend. Nobody could tell me anything about it. So my first year, my mission was by hook or crook, I have to get a boyfriend. And as we know it, the boy showed me shaggy. I chopped a beautiful breakfast, very nicely Ghana breakfast, toast with cocoa, very beautiful. I
And the
sit
baked beans, the baked beans.
with big beans and coleslaw. Um, why am I connecting this? Because I'm saying this because as a result of lack of focus and wanting to so bad be accepted, I failed my first 2 years of university. In fact, I got a letter home. My family thought, she's going to be the next doctor. Oh my God, we're going to have a first doctor in the family. And I got a letter at home. I wasn't home at that time. I was in school. And the letter said that Maame De-Heer has been kicked out of the program. Yes. So I get a call from home and they're like, how is school going? I said, it's going so great. Like I'm doing so well on all my courses. And then they disclosed that we just got a letter from Brock University saying that you have been kicked out of the program. You need to come home this weekend. And African parents don't play. It was a very challenging time for me. I can vouch and tell you that at that point, I think I was suicidal because I felt like a disappointment to my family. How, Mame, you out of all people, how did you fail your first 2 years of university? And not only that, you are being kicked out of the program. So lo and behold, I had to recoup myself again and be focused. So I went to my academic advisor and I said, okay, now that you guys have kicked me out of the program, what do I do? And she said, you only have two options. It's either you do a 3-year community health program, it's not going to be an honors course, or you start all over again and do a 4-year degree, which is a public health degree because I cannot still be in the program that I wanted to be in. So I said, 3-year program without no honors, I don't think I want to do it, but I'll take the 4-year program. I was so focused and so determined that I finished the 4-year program in 2 years. So I finished with my colleagues at the same time. And this shows that, listen, you can fail, but you can bounce back. If I was able to complete a 4-year degree in 2 years, there's nothing anybody can do because I was determined. I was like, I am not going to allow my friends to go ahead of me and finish, and I'm still going to be here for 2 other years. So I was able to successfully finish. I finished, graduated, and everything, and I was able to complete. And that really showed me resilience. That incident has been one of the benchmarks of my life, and it's really showed me that no matter what you go through, how much you feel, you have to be resilient. So after I graduated from my bachelor's, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I went to Ghana and volunteered in some hospitals. But when I came back, I realized that, you know what, I really want to do public health. So here I was figuring out what schools to do my master's in now. And mind you, I had already filled my first 2 years. So on my transcript, the only courses that technically count will be my final 2 years. So I decided that based on who I am, when I say who I am, what I mean is, and many of us Ghanaians, we understand, we normally say cut your coat according to your size. We normally say, and I hope we can, I don't know if we can all speak free or understand free, but pardon me. And you go places or you enter spaces where you think that physically it matches who you are. And I'm here to debunk that there's no such thing as that because the sky is your limit. You can be placed anywhere, irrespective of your background, your social economic status, or whatever shapes you. So either way, when I looked at myself and I looked where I come from, and I said, a little girl from Ghana, I cannot go for the big shot, which is the UFTs, the McGills, and so on. So let me look at Nkwanchan schools. And please, if these schools were schools you attended, I'm not trying to insult the school, okay? But schools like University of Saskatchewan, I was like, Saskatchewan is easy to get into. University of Alberta, it's easy to get into. Simon Fraser University is easy. I won't struggle. So these are schools that I believe will fit and suit me. However, there's always that still small voice. Still small voice. Some people will call it intuition. For me, as a Christian, I call it the Holy Spirit. And I recall that when I applied for the three schools, which is Alberta, Simon Fraser, and Saskatchewan, the Holy Spirit told me that I should go and apply for University of Toronto. And I said, heck no, hell to the no, because I failed my first 2 years of university, number one. Number two, I don't think that as for me at that time, I was qualified to be suited for a school like University of Toronto. Um, I would say that my disobedience to applying led me through a lot of spiritual battles because there was one day I woke up and I could not walk. I literally had, I was bent over, like my, I couldn't walk. And I heard a still voice say to me that the reason why you can't walk is because you're disobedient and you do not want to apply for U of T. Guys, I run to my study desk and I said, whatever I need to do to apply to this school to get my healing immediately, I'm going to do it. So I went and as fast as possible, I put in my application to U of T. And immediately the pain left and I was able to walk. So the deadline was January 2018. So follow the track record, okay? January 2018, I finished applying for my schools. February came because from February to May is when you start hearing from the schools. February came, I got my first rejection from Simon Fraser. I was like, oh man, I mean, Alberta is there, Saskatchewan is there. They're both going to accept me. Guys, I even forgot that U of T, I had even applied for it because for me, I said, there is no way I'm going to get into U of T. I just did it because I just felt like I wanted to walk again and I didn't want things to get worse. March comes. I get my second rejection from Alberta. This is when things started hitting the fan. I was like, okay, this is getting real. But then in my head, I was like, okay, if Simon Fraser and Alberta has rejected me, there is no way Saskatchewan will reject me. In fact, there is absolute Saskatchewan. People don't want to even go to Saskatchewan, so they need me there. Then April came. Then I received the Saskatchewan rejection. Guys, I wailed. I cried. I mourned. Like I think I had a whole Ghanaian funeral specifically for that. I was like, my life is over. I'm dead. I will not do I'm not dead, but God forbid. But my life is over. My life is over. And as I said, at that time, U of T was not even in my thoughts because I said, if Saskatchewan has rejected me, Alberta has rejected me, Simon Fraser has rejected me, there is absolutely no way. In fact, U of T will not even look at my first name. Like, they won't even look at me. Truth be told, I've not even said this anywhere. I had a 2.7 GPA. 2.7. Because I had failed my first 2 years of university. So I was running on a 2.7 GPA. So as I said, I had a whole morning stuff for myself and it was very difficult. So at that time, I was planning on how do I move on? Like, what do I do next? At that time, I was working for Tangerine Bank, if anybody knows Tangerine Bank, and I was getting paid minimum wage. I was not happy. It was just distress for me. Then April 30th, 2018 came. I had gone from church and I had got home, still in tears from the rejection. And then I get an email from U of T. Congratulations, you have been shortlisted. You have been placed on the wait list among the many people we want to consider for our program. Guys, I looked at the email 100 times. I was like, nah, this can be it. This what? U of T waitlisted me? Wait. So that's when I knew that I was like, okay, I'm pretty close to getting into this school, but still, I was on the wait list. I discovered that I was number 10 on the wait list, meaning that they had 10 people on the wait list and I was number 10. So in order for me to get into U of T, 9+ people will have to reject their admission offer in order for me to get in. And who would not want to go to U of T? I'm sure
Mhm.
everybody would want to go into it. So this was April. May 2018 came. We're still waiting, still waiting. They sent me an email and said, as at that time, and mind you, sorry, let me give a little bit of a background to that. At that time, I had applied for U of T. They had received 500 applications and were only accepting 40 students. And I was part of that 40 students, 10 on the wait list. And I was part of that top 50 that they had considered for admission. So we were waiting. I sent an email and they said, I'm so sorry. As at now, nobody has rejected your offer. Like, we don't know what to do. So we don't even know whether you'll be part of our list. I just kept the faith and I told God, because as I said again, I'm a Christian. So I told God, oh God, you told me to go to U of T. I truthfully, I just wanted to go to my cold minus 50 degrees Saskatchewan and call it a day. You were the one that told me to go to U of T. So if you are telling me to go to U of T, you better fix this because I'm not going to come and become embarrassed because I didn't get admission into U of T. Either way, June came rolling and I had this deep intuition to go to a program at U of T. I don't know why, but there is a reason why, and I'll tell you as the story rolls out. So June came, and I went to the program at U of T. In fact, it was a 2-day program. No, it was a 1-day program. I had missed the day. So it was on June 6th, and I went on June 5th. And they said, oh, no, the program is on June 6th, so you have to come back tomorrow. And mind you, U of T was downtown, and I was in Brampton. So having to go all the way back and forth, and I was determined. And that's another thing that I want to share with this series. So I talked about low self-esteem, and obviously the solution is embracing who you are. The second thing is do not be fearful of rejections. And the third thing is determination. In this world, you cannot do anything without being a very determined and focused person. So I was determined to go to U of T. Lo and behold, when I got there, I realized that it actually was not a student program. It was a program um, for lecturers and professors. And I found myself to be the only person there. So during the meet and greet aspect, I walked up to a lady and I introduced myself and I said, hi, my name is Maame. And she looked at me and said, wait, you are Maame? And I said, yes. And then she said these exact words. She said, I am the program director of the program you applied to. And for some weird reason, I can't stop thinking about you.
Oh, wow.
Those were her exact words. Somebody I just met. I'd never seen her before. She looked at me and said, I can't stop. I mean, nobody says I can't stop thinking. Let's be honest. How do you tell somebody you just met that I can't stop thinking about you? And that shows the power, honestly, the power of God, because I couldn't understand. So either way, she looked at me and she said, I am assuring you that if 3 to 4 people reject their offers for U of T, I will personally admit you. I said, wow, okay. This was a reason why I came here today. So either way, March came and May came, no response. June came, no response. July came. I was getting frustrated because September was when school starts. I have to apply for student funding, OSAP, whatever it is. I remember I sent her an email and I said, please, can I get a feedback? And she said, she sent an email and she said, remain hopeful. And as a Ghanaian in my head, I'm like, what, brofo, no, what can I say remain hopeful? What do you mean by remain hopeful? Remain hopeful could mean anything. It could mean that I'm not getting accepted. It could mean that I'm getting rejected, like I'm getting accepted. What do you mean? Either way, so I just had to pray, keep my faith. And if there's anything you've heard from me speaking today, it's how important faith is. And whatever your faith is, for me, I'm a Christian, and that's what I stand by. Faith has been what has supported me to come to this point. I was still praying, still trusting God that God will open a way for me. Whilst sometimes I was partially threatening God too, and saying, God, you wafa. I wasn't the one that said I wanted to go do my master's. I didn't say I wanted to go to U of T to wafa. You gotta you gotta come correct because and you meant that you're coming to disgrace me in this foreign land. So anyway, um, August 9th. No, first week of August. Or was it August 9th? Probably it was August 9th. I received an email from UFT and they said, congratulations. We're excited to let you know that you have been admitted to our program and you're going to partake in our Masters of Public Health program. Guys, I was excited. I was rolling on the floor. I said, Jesus, you knew I was going to get admission and you put me through all this stress. I was like, you could have just given me the admission and we call it a day. So I was excited. I was happy. I started, applying for my student fund in my OSA. In fact, I had sent my resignation letter to my workplace. I said, you people, I'm done with you. All that you have put me through, I'm going to do my master's. Bye, toodles, I'm gone. Oh, so I thought. The battle had actually not ended. Exactly a week later, I was at work when I got a call from the program director. She said, hi, Maame. I said, hey. And in my head, I'm like, why is she calling me? And then she said, are you available to talk? And I said, yes. And then the first word she uttered was, I'm so sorry to let you know that for some reason we have to take the admission back. I was like, excuse? I was like, excuse? I was like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Repeat what you just said. She said, I'm so sorry. There is nothing we can do. We have to take the admission back. And we are sad to tell you that we cannot admit you to you. And I said, wait, what happened? You guys just sent me an email telling me that congratulations. They're like, yeah, but that was not an offer letter. It was just a congratulations email.
Wow.
I remember I sat there. I couldn't work for the remaining of the day. I did not know what. I said, how can you give me admission and take it back? In my life, I've never heard of anything like this before. If for anything, not from a school like UFT, who will give you admission and then 2 weeks to school opening, they tell you that they are taking the admission back. And then I said, you people are lying. Because me, I wrestle not against flesh and blood. You people don't play. Don't play. At that point, there was nothing I could physically do, to be honest, because I did everything I could physically. They still said no. So the only thing I knew was prayer. That was the only thing I honestly knew. Because an institution as big as UFT, you can't fight them. You can't sue them. Like there's nothing you can really do. So within the next 2 weeks, it was warfare and prayer. I prayed and I said, God, why are you doing this to me? Why? First of all, you stressed me, you rejected me, I didn't say anything. Then they sent me wait list, I didn't say anything. I waited, they gave me admission. Now they've come to collect the admission. And I want to use this as a segue to say that, sometimes as young people and as Christians or as believers in whatsoever faith, we like to use the term that whatever belongs to you is always for you. But I'm here to debunk that is not true. Because whatever belongs to you can sometimes be taken away from you unless you wage a war and take it back. So to be honest, in the final 2 weeks, I prayed. I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And a day before school opened, September 3rd, they sent me my final offer letter and said, we have officially admitted you back into the program. A day before school opening. And they said school's opening on September 4th. So come and start. And this was one of my biggest testimony of how, pardon me, my faith literally carried me through. And I want to use this to say that though it might tarry, even when it takes so long, even if it's 1 day or 1 minute to what you need to get it, to what you need to get, or to whatever you've been promised, trust me, you will get it as long as you're steadfast and you're persevering. So either way, that's how I got into my master's program. I went through my 2 years at university. Even that one crowd, there was contention because the same lady that didn't want me to come in faked documents to try to get me out of the program, but God. It was a whole lot, but still I persevered and I was able to finish. I finished my master's. I took a 2-year break, worked a bit. I worked in the government sector, started my own NGO, and then now I'm in my third year of my doctorate program. I went from failing my first 2 years of university to almost not getting into my master's program to being literally in a doctorate program. And one of the people that I am so thankful to is my mom. Because I remember in high school, I brought a math test that was 6/20 because of the wrong crowd I was hanging around with. And my mom, instead of her getting angry, she looked at me and said, Dr. Maame, you should do better than this. And I was like, how are you calling me a doctor when I'm in high school? And I just failed the math test. And now that I grew up, I came to understand the importance of our words and declarations. You know, the tongue is fire. And whatever you declare with your tongue, it will come to pass. And although I was failing and failing and failing and failing and failing, my mom called me by what she believed that I was supposed to be. She always told me that I'm going to be a doctor one day. Whether I was still failing or not, I was going to be a doctor. And I say that if you are a parent here or you're a sibling here, and especially for Ghanaians, we have a very bad habit of calling people by their failure. You will hear your parents saying things like, "Hey, kweku kwadunto, kwame aboin, kweku utiri kesie." You see, they pass out like so much comments, so much negative comments on their children, forgetting that whatever you say is what will manifest. Let me just use this as a segue to share something with us. I had a neighbor growing up in Ghana, and anytime the neighbor had two girls, one boy. Lord have mercy. And anytime then the neighbor's children will do something and they are disciplining the children, the first words that come out of your mouth is, you will suffer just like the way I'm suffering. The things that you're putting me through, you go through it and you see how it is. And sometimes it's the Ghanaian parents, they say it in tree. So one idea wouldn't make film. Also, so when you are beto, when you be obi, when you are our brother better. And I am here to tell you that unfortunately, as their children matured, everything the parents said, everything everything the parents said is what manifested in the lives of their children. There are only some passed away at the age of 40. There are two children, there are two girls too. Your life just went down the hill. So I say this to say that your words shape your world, as we know. But sometimes it's not only words that people tell you, it's also words you tell yourself. In Canada, when I came here, I see how people really negatively speak to themselves. Oh, I'm so dumb. Oh, I'm so stupid. And they think it's modest. No, it's not cute to call yourself dumb and stupid. It is like it's those are negative words you're speaking about yourself. And sometimes as Canadians, we think that, oh, it's modest for us to speak ill even of ourselves. But we forget that it's actually a way of us even stifling our mental health and even stifling our growth. So it's very important that time and time again you are, and here they've modernized it to positive affirmation. So let me put it that way. You are positively affirming yourself. I am great. I am going to be this. I am going to overcome every challenge that I'm going through. The systems of this country will not take me down. So positive declarations over yourself. And I strongly believe that that's what my mom did and brought me to this point. Now, I would love to wrap it up with how, I'm not where I completely want to be in life, but I strongly believe that God is still writing my inspirational story. And I say this because last year, I had the opportunity to go back to Brock to lecture in the same program that I failed. The Brock University that I failed 2 years ago, I received an offer job opportunity to come and lecture in that same program. And I was able to use my story to inspire many of the students, many of them who were also finding it challenging in their academics and so on. So I know I've spoken for some time, but I want to conclude by saying that whatever challenge or failure you're going through currently, it's not the end. It's really not the end. I have failed back to back to back. Even till today, I'm still failing. Nonetheless, I have the the confirmation and affirmation that my present suffering is not worthy to be compared to the glory that will be revealed. So when you are going through the suffering, you're going through the hard times, don't let it take you out. Don't let it bring you down. Don't let it make you feel that, oh, life is done for me. Not like there is a glorious moment at the end. And at those times when I was being rejected and I was failing, I didn't know I was going to get to this point to even be able to use my story to inspire many other people. And I think that that was the purpose of it. The end goal is that I'm going through it so that other people can also be inspired. Um, and even through my experiences, I was able to establish my not-for-profit organization, pardon me, which is called Power of Love Foundation Canada. And we've been active since 2021, supporting many Black young women and girls to enter the labor market, create sustainable career pathways, guide them on their academics, give them knowledge on what to do and what steps to take, how to navigate the educational system, how to navigate their careers. And many of our girls and women have been able to share a lot of success stories. And all this came because I was once there. I had second generation Ghanaian parents who didn't really know much about the educational system. And there was no fault of theirs. They were trying to work to put food on the table. So our organization serves as to be the bridge between the parents and the children so that we can provide our young women with more information on how to navigate through the system. And truthfully, this stemmed from the Ghanaian young lady that I'm not sure many of us are familiar with her. I kind of forgot her name, but many years ago, I think in 2021, there was a young Ghanaian lady that unfortunately committed suicide and she was 18. And at that time, I had the passion to start my not-for-profit, but I was dragging my feet, delaying. I was like, I don't know what I want to do with. I don't know what I want to go ahead with it. And I heard a voice. I'm sorry if I'm being over spiritual because I can't say I was the one that did it. But there was a voice, an inner voice that told me that if I do not establish this organization to support many women, there will be many other women here in Canada that will go through the same route and the same road that this young lady did. And that's what gingered me to start Power of Love Foundation. And like I said, we've been able to support many girls, provide scholarship opportunities, mentorships, and so many more. So I just want to conclude officially by saying that um, no matter what you're going through, there is a glorious moment that's going to be revealed. Continue to be determined, continue to be focused, continue to persevere. The world is going to tell you no so many times, but as long as you are focused, you are determined, you will definitely get your yes. And that yes will overshadow every other no you've gotten. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Wow. 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 Let me just take a moment and just clap. Mabe, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that story. Mama, you've been holding out on me. You've been holding out because how come I haven't some parts I've heard. I haven't heard this full story yet. Wow, what else you got for me? Okay. Wow. This is exactly what we mean by our monthly series, Inspiring from Within. And that's just the tip of the iceberg for Maame. Like, I first met Maame face to face, I think in 2021, when our women's group, GCAO women's group, had a Black History Month event, and you came to speak. And I was like, wow, you spoke so well. And I said, this girl, I need to know her. And I asked for your number that day. Do you remember? Neither. Oh, Bobby. It's okay. I forgive you. I forgive you. But since then, I've been extremely inspired by you. And to think that all of that happened and look at where you are today and still growing and still growing. And when I tell you, say, I'm your biggest fan, you don't hear me. You don't hear me. You don't hear me. She thinks I'm joking. I I'm so encouraged. I'm so encouraged and extremely grateful for you coming to share your story with us. Here I thought we were just gonna do a you know Q&A session and you answered questions, but thank you. God had other plans, clearly. um so what can we expect? I was going to ask you to talk about the Power of Love Foundation, but I mean, you said enough. You said enough. What can we expect from Mrs. De-Heer in the next 5 to 10 years?
Hmm. Good question. Uh, I think that in the next 5 to 10 years, there's a lot to expect. There's a lot to expect. By God's grace, there's a lot to expect. I strongly, I don't want to make this over spiritual, but I have a life that is totally surrendered to God that allows God to take the lead. So sometimes I really don't know what the 5 to 10 year holds, truthfully. Nonetheless, I know that my 5 to 10 years will be in a place where I'm helping people, just helping people and helping make the nation of the world better. However, that looks like I mentioned earlier, my purpose is to mobilize, uplift, and empower people, through through faith, public health, and transformative leadership that will foster healing, equity, and health impact. So, whatever situation or position I find myself in, it will be shaped around that area, whether it be establishing a healing center, whether it be building like a shelter for women in Ghana, whatever it is, it will be shaped by what that purpose symbolizes. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely see that in the. I mean, you're doing it now. It's only going to get better for you. Like I can only imagine. Tell me something. I know you said a lot, but what is something about Maame that not a lot of people know? Aside what you've told us, your journey to get to where you are today.
How many do you want?
We got a few more minutes, so give me
uh,
two.
what people don't know. Okay, I don't know if people know that I sing. Maybe people don't know that I'm not going to sing here, but people don't know that. Maybe people don't know that I sing. I lead praise and worship in church, so I sing. Um, People might not know that I have a prayer ministry. Maybe through this you might know, but I have a prayer ministry that I lead people in prayer. It's my heartbeat. Um, yeah, I did sing, but Mike is not one of those. I just do conscience singing, kakra. But yeah, I think I lead prayers. I have a prayer ministry where we meet on a weekly basis to pray. Um, Maybe people know this, but I love people. I actually love human beings. I'm a people person. I love people. Um, I Anything I can do in my power and in my strength to help people, I try to do it. Um, and part of that is I love to create opportunities where everybody will have a share. Um, One thing that I think people like about me is the fact that I don't hoard opportunities. I don't know how to do it. If I get an opportunity right now, um, if I get an opportunity right now and I'm
Paper.
able to share it with somebody that I know, I would do it in a heartbeat. I don't believe in only one person being successful. I believe we can all have a share of the cake and progress. So I think those are things that maybe people might or might not know about me. But yeah.
I have a question in the chat here from Gabe. He's asking, what was the UN speech about?
Okay. Okay, so through my not-for-profit organization, I had the opportunity to go to the Economic and Social Council Forum at New York. And I had the opportunity to deliver a speech um, on two. So there's the video you guys saw. There's actually another video that I have been hiding. That one I don't want to release it because
You've really been holding.
people don't. Okay, you see, Naomi. Another thing people don't know about me, I am actually a very shy person. Like in a certain, like I am shy in the sense that before I even, a lot of people say, oh, you like to post a lot, but people don't know that before I post something, the emotional burden I go through in order to do that, it's a lot. I struggle to share things about achievement that I do out there. Yes, I might share it, but you have no idea of the battle I go through privately before I share it. So that's why. So there's two speeches actually. There's one I've not released it yet. I
Okay,
don't know.
you'll send it to me. I mean, I remember the UN video. I had to talk before she sent it to me. I was like, Mommy, let me post this on Ghana Union.
I was like, no, give
I'm
it
shy.
like
Even to post this event in her prayer group. It's called Prayers in Agreement. Tell me I'm shy. I'm shy. I said, please, I beg. If you're shy, me, I'm not shy. Please. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, sorry, I forgot to answer. Let me finish with Gabe's question. So yes,
Right.
I had the opportunity to speak on. So they had two sessions. One was for the SDG 3, which ideally has to do with, oh God, help me. No, SDG 5, which has to do with gender equality. That's the one that I've not shared it yet. But the second one, which I'm sure is what Gabe is asking of, is we had a specific forum that was mainly for Africans. And it was an opportunity for Africans around the world to come, and African youth specifically, to come to speak about some of the challenges that Africans were facing. Now, the reason why I spoke so passionately at that session was because typical Africans, they were not allowing the youth to speak. They were being very selective about who they wanted to speak. For example, they only wanted politicians to speak, they only wanted the ministers to speak. And the ministers were taking the opportunities that the youth had to also voice their concerns out. So truthfully, I was one of the few youth that had the opportunity to speak. And I felt like if I've gotten this opportunity, I have to shut it down. So that's why I spoke so passionately and said whatever I wanted to say. But yeah, just to answer your question.
That you did. That you did. Those few, what was it, like a minute or
A
so?
minute, yeah.
It was enough. Wow. Mike has a question in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
It says, what would Maame say are some of the challenges Ghanaian youth face currently?
Challenges. So maybe I'll talk about personal challenge. But when you say challenges, please can you help me understand?
Mike, can you elaborate more on your question?
Absolutely. So, what do you think are some of the issues that, Ghanaian youth are facing, but are maybe not voicing out or are being suppressed? And you touched on, something just now about how, like the youth didn't have a voice. But what are some of the things that that you've observed as challenges for Ghanaian youth?
Good question. So I'll take this in a two-way street. Let me start from as Ghanaian youth. I think that, and please, this is just my personal opinion, so forgive me. I think that because of how some of us, not all, some of us were raised, we have an internal timidity battle. You can put a Ghanaian here, you can put, forgive me, I hate comparisons, but you can put a Ghanaian here, you can put a Nigerian youth here, and truthfully, it's not the same. And I think, unfortunately, all that stems from how we were raised by our parents. In the Ghanaians, and I thank God and I bless God so much for my mom. When I was in Ghana, all my reports that I got, they told me that I talk too much. I'm fidgety too much. But my mom did not see that as an opportunity to shut me down or diminish my voice. She started putting me in public speaking engagement as young as when I was 5. So when I was 5, I was doing Bible readings at church. I was doing memory verse. I was doing speeches. And people see me today and they're like, "You're so eloquent. You're such a good public speaker." Yeah, that's because my mom nurtured that at a young age. But imagine if my mom stifled me and said, "You're so stubborn. Your teachers say you talk a lot in class." I wouldn't have been where I am today. So I think a lot of Ghanaians youth, unfortunately, because of how we were raised, we become scared. We are very, and forgive me, I don't want to use the word timid, but that's what it is. We struggle to take initiatives. We want the initiatives to be presented before us because we've grown up in a culture where when you were bold and you want to take initiatives, they tell you you're too known. They tell you that you do too much, you know too much. They tell you that no, let your leaders speak first. They tell you that when you're even looking at a leader, don't look at a leader in the eye. So it has unfortunately affected a lot of us where we're dealing with deep trauma. Deep. We don't even realize it, but it's subconscious. And that's because of how we were raised. But I think it gets to a point where we now, as Ghanaian youth, have to take the initiative and be like, listen, if this is how I was raised, this is not what the next trajectory of my life will be. So if you were raised in a setting where you were always told to hush, shut up, keep quiet, then unfortunately you will now have to take that decision and that onus and that responsibility to work on yourself, to try to undo the trauma and then relearn and how to move past it. It's not easy, but that's the initiative we have to take. Now, on the other side, when it comes to the systemic aspect, and this is something that I see all the time, unfortunately, one of the challenges we face as Ghanaians is because our leaders did not get the opportunity when they were young. Now that they're old, they are taking our opportunities. So, for example, you get into governmental spaces and they're asking for youth to come and represent Ghana at the United Nations. And you turn around and all you see is old men and old women. And you're asking yourself, where are the Ghanaian youth? There are Ghanaian youth, but because systemically we've been stifled for so long, and it seems to be a cycle that has been ongoing, the opportunity that should be given to the Ghanaian youth is given to the older person. For example, please, I'm not saying GCAO does this. I'm just giving an example. I like to give analogies. Let's say the Minister for Youth and Sports was coming to Toronto together with President John Mahama. And they say, we want 5 youth to represent us. Sometimes, I'm not talking, this has nothing to do with GC, I'm just giving a scenario. In a typical Ghanaian setting, instead of them sending the youth, they'll go send the more of the elderly folks. And if you are not careful, sometimes the youth that deserve it, they don't give it to them. It will only be given to their cousin, their uncle. So the challenge also comes in the Ghanaian community where if you don't know anybody, it's doomed for you. You need to have an uncle somewhere or an auntie somewhere, irrespective of how intelligent you are, irrespective of how much. And thank God that, some of our parents came to Canada to come and start a new life, because I'm telling you guys, if we really lived in Ghana, it would have been challenging for us, because every good opportunity is given to the cousins and the uncles and the aunties and so on. I don't know how we can solve this or bring a solution to this, but I think as youth, that's why advocacy is very important. We need to advocate for ourselves. And Ghanaian youth, unfortunately, sometimes we're like, oh, like our parents, just leave it. God will fight for us. God is the one that advocates for us. And we'll be using God as an excuse, and the opportunities are sliding us by. But I think that it's time where we Ghanaian youth, we really rise up and speak up for what belongs to us. If an opportunity belongs to a Ghanaian youth and it's being given to someone else, Let's rise up and say, no, what you guys are doing is wrong. This should go to a youth. A youth should be sitting at the table. On the GCAO leadership, how many youth do we have on the executives? Let's have a youth representative so that the youth's voice is being heard. So I would say in conclusion, that's my answer to your question. Sorry, when it comes to youth, I'm very passionate. So just
Right.
wanted to say that.
Thank you. That's perfect. I think you spoke for many Ghanaian youths or young adults. I was one of those youths, you know. I didn't have a voice. I think I found my voice in my 40s, late 30s, early 40s because of the way I was raised. Not
Mhm.
it's not their fault. It's not their fault. And so I was determined to raise my daughter not the way I was raised. I wanted her to have a voice, and she does. She's very outspoken, and you know, it's become an ongoing battle between her and my mom, but we'll let it be. We'll let it be. Are there any more questions for Maame? Please just put it in the chat. Feel free. Feel free. She has a lot of great, great, great nuggets to share. They're actually gems, just like Mike said. Um, what are some of the I know you're still very deeply rooted in Christ and the Ghanaian culture, but what are some of the parts I'm trying to phrase this and what are some of the Ghanaian traditions that you still hold dear to you? Well, I know moving to Canada was a culture shock. We heard your story, but what are some of the things that still stay with you? And let me add, thank you for repping with the Kente at the United Nations. Loved it. Loved it.
Okay, thank you. Um, I would say that one of the key Ghanaian traits that has carried me throughout and has helped me is our hospitality. Anywhere you go, people will say that Ghanaians are so hospitable. They are so kind. They're so welcoming and they're so polite. And it's very, very unique because sometimes we take it for granted because truthfully, not every nationality is very polite as we are. But there's a teaching I'm doing with my group, my prayer group, which is the importance of hospitality, taking the initiative to be hospitable. And when you really delve into the wisdom or the secret behind hospitality, there's a lot of blessings connected to it. Many, many blessings. Anyone that has been blessed in the trajectory of the word of God, it stemmed out of them being very hospitable. So I would say that for me, one of the key cultural traits um, that my that I have carried on with me as a Ghanaian is the hospitality, right? And knowing how to treat people well. Ghanaians can good the no, all Ghanaians are good. I won't even say good or bad. All Ghanaians are good in my eyes. But Ghanaians know how to treat people very, very well. And I think that that's what has really helped me. Yeah.
Yes. Elijah, please.
My YouTube's not working.
Oh, wow.
I mean my movie's not working.
Okay, here, watch this movie here. Sorry, guys.
I'm
Drama duties.
I'm not watching it.
Okay. There's a question in the chat here. It says it's from Albert. He's asking, I probably joined, well, yes, he did join a bit late, but he wants to know, Mame, how you've been able to stay consistent with your brand.
To be honest, I don't even know if I have a brand.
If you don't, we are branding you now.
I
Okay.
don't even know if I have a brand. I would say just being authentic and being myself, truthfully, just being authentic. Number one, being authentic. Number two, being myself. And number three, most importantly, loving people. My brand has, if I have a brand, glory to God, but my brand has been built around just loving people and being helpful to people. Many people that have, you see, people likability is something that is hard to get. when people decide that they like you, it's it takes a lot. For someone, let me use someone like Nana McBrown. People might not really tell you why they like her, but they just like her because obviously she carries grace, she carries favor. But nonetheless, it's also, I believe, her heart of helping people. So I would say that being authentic, true to myself, and really going hard for people and being there for them. That's what has helped me to stay consistent, if that makes sense.
And you do it well. You do it very well. She does. She's not just a friend. This girl is my prayer intercessor, my prayer partner, all of it. She's a wonderful sister in Christ. Mike, okay, Mike, let's take Evelyn's question because you asked the question, and we'll take yours, okay? Evelyn, what's your question?
Hi, Maame. I'm wondering, do you see an intersection of like being Ghanaian, a woman, but not the typical Ghanaian? I'm assuming you're not the typical Ghanaian. But when you go into white spaces, people, do you ever find people are almost like shocked at your capabilities or your abilities, maybe based on an assumption?
100%.
And then
100%.
like you have to constantly sort of navigate between which of yourself you bring. And second part to my question is, do you ever feel like you need to play the game so you don't shine too much because then you become a threat in a white space?
This is such a good question. Um, I'll answer your question this way. And this is what has been my belief. And I always like to share stories because I feel as if any if people can forget anything, they'll never forget a good tea, a good story. Recently, I had the opportunity to lecture a sports management class. And if you know anything about sports management, it's two things. It's male dominated and it's white males only. Now, before I was invited to that lecture, the lecturer that invited me was apologizing. Before I even went to lecture, he looked at me and he said, I am so sorry, but might be one of your hardest lectures you ever had because all the people in the class are white males. They might not pay attention to you and they might not respect you. So in case you see that, please don't take offense to it. Kindly ignore it. I was like, say less. And lo and behold, when I got into the class and I started the lecture, half of them were just, in fact, all the class, and mind you, it was like a class of almost 200 people. They were not paying attention. They were just on their computer, some were on their phones. But you know the kicker, when I started listing my qualifications. I was like, so currently I'm a doctor of public health student. I am a lecturer. I have worked in the government. And then I saw their head slightly go up in shock. Because based on my skin color, they're assuming this is some uneducated girl who they went to pick from somewhere. She does not have the qualifications. First of all, who is she to think she can come and teach us on what to do? But my qualifications spoke for itself. I say this to say that the only way you will feel like you need to shrink is when you have nothing to prove for it. But when you've built yourself up and added value to yourself, you are, I don't know if this is the word, you're unshrinkable. Your qualifications will speak for itself. When you go there and you say, I've been able to get experience in this, I have added value to myself in this area, I'm educated in this space. It is the only thing that commands attention, truthfully. Because when you're in this spaces, what else can you say to prove that you are qualified enough? So I would say that um, when I was not as, didn't have a lot to my name, yes, that's what made me want to shrink. But now that I know what I have and I know the investments I've made in myself and I know the value I've added to myself, I don't shrink. I go in there with my head up high because I know that, to be honest, to a certain extent, maybe I even have more qualifications than some of the people there. So in conclusion, just keep adding value to yourself because when you do that, nothing can shrink you. I hope I answered your question.
Did that answer your question, Evelyn?
Yes, thank you.
Mike, do you still have a question? You put your hand down.
Like she kind of covered it with this one here. It was more so about you know, like a message for newcomers in to Canada, and you know, kind of breaking that timidness that she spoke about, the shyness. And I think, you know, she's touched on it, but I'll still, you know, I'll still go ahead and, like, you know, ask that question and see if, you know, you expand a bit more on that. But, you know, a message to newcomers in the Canadian space from Ghana, what would you say to them?
I won't lie to you. I don't know if I'm the best person to give this advice on,
Mm,
but what I would say is community is very important. You know, anytime newcomers come into Canada, the unfortunate thing, and it's so sad, that you will get our own Ghanaian community members saying that, hey, what about Chrome ha? And for home kobo Ghana for almost be true abofom. One kasa we show baby a show basement won't coin feel be. I hope everyone understands tree. Please, if you can't understand, let me know in the chat box. As we wrap up, I want to speak tree small. One coin show basement be. Oh sorry, no pa kwe juma na wakwa sorry, ukwa sorry ani obi ankasa kofi ko din krom ha de wo de wo Ghana for wonye yi o. Forgetting that life thrives on community. So if you're a newcomer, what advice I'll give to it is that find the community and build with them. You can't come to this country and be an island. Because there are certain things to navigate that truthfully you cannot do by yourself. Because if you do it, you make so much mistakes. And that is how our fellow Indian brothers and sisters have been able to thrive. Because the moment they get here, they thrive on community. They all build each other up. They all help each other and show each other the way. But why is it that as a Ghanaian community, we try to tell our fellow Ghanaians that Ghana for? Yet the Indians are doing it and they're thriving. But then we'll come back again and say, India for the Ghana for forgetting that we are not instilling and practicing what we preach. So I would say that find a community, thrive in it. There are good Ghanaians here who will help you. Obviously, there are also bad Ghanaians. When I say bad Ghanaians, I don't mean Ghanaians are bad, but equally there are bad people. But find that community and let them support and help you. So that's what I'm gonna say.
Thank you. Thank you, Maame. I think this is a good point to wrap up and say, Maame, God bless you. Thank
Amen.
you for making our Inspire from Within this month such a beautiful and memorable one. And don't think this is it, Maame. We'll have many more of you